Joining us is attorney at law, Mr. Ved Trebouhansingh. I hope I have that correctly. A pleasant good evening and welcome once again to the Observer, sir. Always a pleasure to have you on.
Hi, good afternoon, sir, and good afternoon to all listeners. Of course, yes, you pronounced my name accurately, and I'm so grateful for that.
All right.
How are you doing this afternoon?
Well, good. And it's always good to hear your voice because this issue is one of national interest. And I want to say hats off to you and the entire legal team that has been working on it. You're wonderful. I mean, being there and even going beyond the call to assist with the families in any which way possible. Now, the lead attorney, Prakash Ramadar, said yesterday that the legal team is willing to meet with Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley on the issue of an ex gratia payment for the families of the 4 divers who died in the pipeline at Paria Fuel Trading Company Limited in February of 2022. And he said the reason why it hasn't been filed is that they've taken note of what the Prime Minister has said in the Parliament when the Commission of Inquiry's report was laid on January 19. Please expand on that so for those of us who are locked on could have a better understanding.
Well, as you've said yourself, this matter is one which has attracted great public interest and public concern given the circumstances surrounding the incident and, of course, particularly the report that was made public thereafter. Right now, we are in a position where we have to consider what's our next steps. Of course, proceeding cautiously means that we must consider the interests of the family and also the interests of justice. At this point in time, whilst we do wish to proceed to litigation, it indeed is our intention to do so. We do not wish to be haste in our actions. We must be pragmatic, and therefore, it means that considering an ex gratia payment becomes crucial in the circumstances where we want to consider, one, allocating the financial resources to assisting these families. As Mr. Ramada mentioned and was very clear in his conference yesterday, the issue remains that the women, the children, they lost breadwinners of their respective households and they now suffer. They've been suffering since February 25th of the last 2 years now, and it continues to date. It has even grown because their positions have certainly been difficult as per our instructions. To date now, we have come to a point where we are, in considering our way forward, we are certainly hopeful that this matter can be resolved without proceeding to court. Unfortunately, of course, we have not received the response that we were hopeful for, and if that be the case, we may do it. Even as an alternative, or at this point, a consideration is given to having an audience with the Honorable Prime Minister for the purpose of having the families get an opportunity to communicate with the leader in our society so that he can understand what they have been through. I do think somewhat that these families have been alienated. Whilst persons may be posting on social media, whilst there is great public distribution of information concerning the commission and its outcome, what people are unaware of and what I do suspect, and I say suspect, that our leaders are unaware of is the personal circumstances of these families.
Yeah,
but
one second,
purpose.
One second, Mr. Trebouhansingh. I mean, when you look at it, I mean, the average citizen is like, listen, we heard the Commission of Inquiry. We heard everything. And now at this point where one would think that the families, I mean, yes, they've been alienated, but these people have been through hell. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, there were those members who were there on the compound who had to witness this directly or indirectly. And now it seems that everything is being tied up in all of these legal shenanigans. And we understand perhaps in a perfect world, the board would have been fired. In a perfect world, the Prime Minister would have met with them already, showing concern. In a perfect world, these families would have already been taken care of. But unfortunately, that is not the case. And when we start hearing about all this legal red tape, in the minds of citizens, it's like, my gosh, are you going to drag this on? Are you going to help these people? Or are we going to see this drag on for years and years to come?
And that is the nightmare that they face. And we are hopeful that at the end of the day, steps are to be taken. I can recall during our last interview that I maintained a certain hope. Yet to date, we have not received any response from the state entities. We have not obtained any form of progress. And it is...
Hold on one second. If you repeat that, you're telling me you received no correspondence from the state entities?
Essentially, and I will be clear, we have, in our request for ex gratia payment, we did receive a response that a response will be forthcoming. But in terms of a substantive response, none has been received to date. Our last timeline that we requested on Friday the 23rd of February would have been that we get a response by Monday, yesterday the 26th of February. Of course, none came. And therein lies our grave difficulty, that if this continues, whilst we have time is not going to run indefinitely. We must proceed, and if that is the position that we must take, we have no fear in doing so. But it all boils down to the resources that are going to be utilized. The fact that we will be wasting taxpayers' monies going into litigation, legal fees, all which ought to be directed to the families of these deceased persons.
And I agree with you. I agree with you. As a taxpayer, and I'm sure I speak for many of the taxpayers, spend the money. Handle the, give these people, handle them. I mean, come on. No one's talking about a blank check, but you need to handle these individuals. And we hope and we pray that this is not going to be a strategy to have them going around in circles, and when the time comes, you beat them down to the point that you just offer them any little thing and think they're going to accept this. We're talking about children who have to go to school, tertiary education. I am certain that if their fathers, their uncles, whoever was around would want to see these children have a better life than they have lived, don't deprive them of that. So whatever the strategy may be, and I'm asking you, is this going to be some sort of long, drawn-out process, and we the people may have to get involved if it is that the powers that be don't, and say, listen, we demand that you handle this right away.
And we, within our powers, will do all that we can to achieve this. We will not let these families suffer. And if we must proceed, if we must put forward our force within the parameters of our laws, we will do so. And that is the direction that we are heading in. At the end of the day, we are open to compromise, but we are not waiting for compromise if it's not coming within a reasonable time frame. These families must see some form of justice. They must feel the slightest sense of comfort that their families are being provided for.
Yeah, because Mr. Ramadan said, he said, having regard to the length of time Paria had and the urgency of what is being dealt with, one would have thought the board did not have to wait for the laying of the report in Parliament. And they would have acted, in particularly after the Prime Minister's statement, to meet and make decisions. I mean, basically a mandate was given out, instructions given out. Meet with these people, sit down, find out how best we can financially accommodate them and get this thing started.
Indeed, and to date, my question remains, what prevented this from happening? The family, and of course, we as their representatives, we have always been open. And even up to yesterday, we made it publicly clear. They are open to it. And if it is that they are not being taken seriously, if it is that their cries are not being heard, we have to do what we must.
And as far as when you say do as you must, are you looking at intensifying this whole legal action?
Now, when you say intensifying, I would ask you to clarify because...
I know that... I know Mr. Ramadan... And the legal team, of course, is prepared to file an action in the High Court, and you're yet to do so. And why is it then that this matter is still being looked upon as a legal liability?
Because, of course, as you are aware, the report that was revealed by the Commission of Inquiry solely was in relation to the recommendations to our state entities to now act, and therein lies their powers that they must exercise. Our personal responsibility to our clients lies in a civil court. We do not have the authority to proceed with criminal action. However, we can represent their interest if if it is so required. But there are the necessary state authorities that ought to do their job.
Yeah, and I think it will bring into question at some point in time the integrity of the players here. I mean, not on your side, but we hope this is not a matter of a legal feeding frenzy where some people are just bringing on staff and saying, listen, this one is going to play this role and that one. This has nothing to do with anyone else but the families of the divers, full stop. No one else. And I think as citizens, we would like to see that they get everything that they deserve.
Indeed, and it all goes back to the point that my senior, Mr. Ramada, did indicate that we have no objections to having a discussion with our Honorable Prime Minister, because at the end of the day, any form of discussion, any form of communication with the family, to advise them, to let them know that things are being done, that progress is being made, it is so important to them. And of course, as citizens of this country, do they not deserve at least this, is the question? The simple humanitarian act?
Yeah, you're right. And that's the key word, humanity. I mean, these are not individuals waking up every morning and realizing that a loved one is not at the breakfast table. These are not individuals who have children hoping that one day or somehow by magic daddy can walk through the door again. These are not individuals who are feeling the pain that these families are going through. And because of the fact that there seems to be a disconnection, they're just taking their glory old time to get this process started, which is wrong. And according to Mr. Ramada, the family does not have this luxury.
They do not. And frankly, this process could have even ended already. But here we are.
Yeah. So next move, I know you're not going to give up. I mean, you've come too far. If you give an idea, I know there's a time frame as well. And if I'm not mistaken, have you given an ultimatum to the other side?
We have given timelines and deadlines for responses, but presently within the last month, our most recent correspondence was without a substantive response to date, and our right of action to the court remain. Yeah. So that at this point, we must now carefully consider. And I can assure you, if there is no progress within the near future, we will be proceeding to file our civil court action. Yeah,
and I hope that justice really and truly works fast. Any closing comments to the family? I mean, from, now that you're here on The Observer, so they can understand this battle is not just on them, but many of us as citizens are with them in solidarity in bringing some closure to this.
What I would say is that on behalf of the families we represent and for the other families, we will do our best by you to obtain justice. Those who we represent, they are fully aware of it, and those who we do not represent, we, at the end of the day, have a common goal, and it is to obtain justice, and we will not stop until justice is achieved in this matter.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ved Trebouhansingh. Keep up the good work. Best of luck to you and your entire team, and we are definitely in your corner. Keep up the good work.
Thank you very much, sir. And I thank you for your time. I, of course, enjoy these interviews, and I, of course, look forward to hearing from you again.
Thank you so much. We'll be checking in with you periodically. Thank you so much.